knows Kenya for its natural wonders, the golden savannas, the wildlife that fascinates millions of visitors, the landscapes that look like postcards. But beyond the images, Kenya is also a country at the forefront of financial innovation. Mobile money services have transformed the way millions move and use cash, long before the rest of the world caught up. Yet the Kenyan shilling, the national currency, keeps weakening, squeezed by a growing trade deficit and the constant need for dollars to cover imports and foreign debt. Those who suffer most are the poor, whose already small earnings erode day by day, leaving little hope for the future. In Nairobi, a capital of nearly 5 million people, many live in sprawling slums, vast settlements where hundreds of thousands survive on less than $5 a day. Slums are labeled as informal settlements, but in reality, they are vast urban jungles made of tin roofs and narrow alleys. Here, life is lived day to day, and money often decides who eats, who studies, who survives.
Slum is whereby there's a lot of people, the population is high. Like for Kibera slum, the population is around 700,000 people plus. When the population is high, mostly people there are so vulnerable, yeah, and most youths, they don't have works. Mostly they rely on online works or just one-day work, yeah. So you get to find a lot of people moving, no work. Education is difficult for them. The income rate, mostly per day, is around $5, yeah. Per day is around $5 to $6. So most people, around 60% of youths, they are unemployed, yeah, because there's no works there.
As in many emerging countries, inflation makes life even harder. It destroys purchasing power, hitting hardest those who live day by day, counting every single unit of currency.
In Kenya, we eat a lot of bread, and one loaf of bread was 5 shillings, Kenya shillings. Right now, a loaf of bread is 70 shillings. That is inflation in Africa. A few months ago, we were buying $1 at 150. Yet, a few years ago, like 3, 4, 5 years, it was 90 shillings.
You have a very large percentage of the population that has essentially no savings at all, including businesses and consumers. So when you're talking about hedging against devaluation or depreciation of a currency, to a degree that's the draw, but mostly it's because there are things that you can do with dollars that you can't do with shillings. For example, as a small business owner, if you want to import stock for your shop, you need access to USD.
When local currencies lose value and banks fail to serve everyday people, the need for alternatives becomes urgent. Across Africa, more and more people are turning to new forms of money. Not for speculation, but for survival. They're called stablecoins, digital currencies designed to maintain their value. And at the origin of it all is USDT, the first stablecoin, and today the most widely used. For many, it offers something rare, a sense of stability, a way to hold, send, and receive money without fear of sudden loss.
USDT is a stablecoin, and a stablecoin is a digital currency backed by a national currency. In the case of USDT, is a digital currency pegged to the United States dollar. 37% of USDT users are actually holders, are using USDT as their savings account because they don't have local banks and they don't have other ways to hold value. But more importantly, holding USDT for them is a savings account that does not depreciate as their national currency would depreciate, right? So let's think of, for example, to the Nigerian naira that depreciates very fast against the US dollar. Holding and savings money into USDT for people living in Nigeria is a great thing because suddenly they kind of become richer just parking their money in a safer fiat currency.
It changed a lot to me because I saved a lot of cash, a lot of money, and by the end of the year, I accumulated a lot of saving, which I even used to construct my small house back in the village. Yeah, I constructed my small house with my saving because I already accumulated a lot of cash. Yeah, Because when you save money in USDT, not in local currency, like you can have 500 USDT, yeah? 500, if you convert into Kenya shilling, that's a lot of money, whereby you can buy anything that you want. That motivates me to save money in that wallet, yeah? While saving in banks, sometimes they lock your money for a certain period. You save 10,000, they will lock money for maybe for 6 months. You will need your 6 month period, then you can access your money.
When you think about sending money to, say, South Africa or even Nigeria from Kenya itself, if you're going to get any of the fintechs that are gonna do it, you're going to fill a whole list. It's like you're filling your whole next of kin list. So you'd be asked for PO box, Swift code, and all that. Like there's a whole list that makes it very tedious. And then of course there's also the cost element.
When I want to send money to Cameroon from Kenya, what I would have to do is I would have to call a few friends in one of our Cameroonian WhatsApp group. And basically you have people in that group who are ready to take Kenyan shillings from me and pay francs CFA in Cameroon. So I basically have to go there and say, is anyone willing to pay 100,000 for me in Cameroon? And then when I post that ad, people are going to respond. And that's how I'll get someone who will make the payment in Cameroon, and then I would send them mobile money here in Kenya.
Remittances, for the people that are not familiar with that, are the action of a person, a father, mother, or family, for example, living in a wealthier country and working in a wealthier country, sending money back home to their families that still live in the poorer country. The average GDP of emerging markets that is linked to remittances is more than 20%. There are countries in Africa that have up to 80% of their GDP as part of remittances. And when you think about the legacy world of remittances and the companies that have been driving the remittances business for a long time, they have been charging up to 28% in commissions for remittances. And that is completely unfair in my opinion. That's something that makes my blood boiling, because you are charging 28% for remittances from Europe, for example, to Mozambique. Then you are actually charging the poorest of the people that live in these countries, and you are taking away a lot of potential from these countries, because you are just sucking their life and their blood.
Well, I can say USDT is better as compared to the Kenyan shilling, because when you check the charts, the Kenyan shilling is always fluctuating depending on economic factors on the ground, political factors as well. So USDT usually is stable.
The cost of living in Kenya is really high. At this rate, it gets higher every moment. And while using USDT, USDT is best compared to Kenyan shillings. For instance, for me, when I sell my USDT, I get Kenyan shillings at a really good rate, which helps me to, which is, let me say, it's more convenient and it's better.
USDT, it's much more safer as compared to Kenya shillings. Kenya shillings appreciates and depreciates, so it's not convenient as using USDT. I taught my customers how to change Nuzo tokens to USDT, and here is my mobile money shop, and using my till, they can be able to send money to USDT, and they can also be able to earn rewards.
$10 for it look like a little money, yeah. But if you convert into Kenya shilling, that's around 1,300. You can do a lot of things with it. That motivates me to save more. When I say this, I have a small amount, I save more, I save more, I save more. Then at the end of the year, I managed to remove some cash. I bought some batis, some tiles, some blocks, constructed my small house, done.
You just need to have a smartphone to access it. And it's actually effortlessly, you are able to do tasks while you are at the comfort of your home. Perhaps maybe you don't need an office environment.
When you work online, most people prefer to pay in USDT than on currency, yeah? Because the system we use is a bit very slow, and it doesn't work every time. So most of the youths work online to get their income at least, yeah, for a daily living.
We are very proud to have bootstrapped that movement, because now we are seeing more and more countries in Africa looking at stablecoins as a better form of cross-border payment, commodity trading payment, remittances payments, and all that, right?